Richard, the topic is the Bill Allen case, and of course we have with us Richard Simon, a friend of Bill Allen, as well as James Floyd, another friend of Bill Allen, to talk about, number one, some of the problems that was generally associated with the incarceration of Mr. Allen that eventually led him to escape prison, and eventually his life and lifestyle while he was on the run, and again, the most recent parole hearing in reference to this particular case. Why don't you start off by giving us some information, Richard, in reference to Allen in the Tennessee prison system, and you might say something in reference to your own experiences in reference to that, Richard.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Haney. My name is Richard Simon, and I met Bill Allen we both were incarcerated at Ruben Maximum Security Prison. But before I speak on that, I had the pleasure to read his book before I met him. And the story intrigued me because way back when we heard a lot about the injustice that went on and how black men per se were preyed on by the police. We hear stories like that. And actually meet someone who went through that, it was kind of interesting to me. And after meeting Bill and the stories I had heard about his case and about him, the two didn't meet. If you meet this person, here's a God-loving person who was brought up the right way, was in an adverse situation, and got himself in a lot of trouble. And as a result of the situation, 2 police officers lost their lives, which is a tragedy. But the silver lining in this is it didn't change Bill Allen. When I got in trouble, and I had the pleasure of meeting him when I got off death row in 1995, he was a guy I had read about, and I finally got a chance to meet him. I expected someone to be bitter because he had, it's been going on since 1968. And I met him in 1995 in the month of May. And he had a smile on his face, and he talked about his situation, but he didn't dwell on it. And so in meeting Bill, I was spending a lot of time talking to him, how do you do time when you don't think you're getting out? How can you go through life just trying to be a positive influence on people in the environment? So in walking and talking to him, I got to know him from that aspect. And I couldn't put the two together because they would say that he ambushed police officers, and here's a man here, we call him Doctor in the penitentiary, that he always would try to help people if you sprain an ankle and that kind of stuff. And so the two stories didn't match. So all I can personally speak on is Bill Allen as a person. Through adversity, he has brought a lot of light to a lot of people through the way he has went through his trial and tribulations. And I say that, it's like, I don't know how to say it in 10 words or less, but he didn't complain about his situation. You know, I don't know how he did when he was by himself, but whenever he talked to other people, and especially a young guy like myself, I'm about 15 years younger than he is, he'd always encourage me and tell me how I should be thankful that I got a break, and this, that, and other, that I got a life sentence, and maybe one day I'll make parole. He just done his time in a manner to which he was like day by day. And so this person, I'm thinking, oh man, how do I get where he's at? And over the years, you know, he just like rubbed off on me. You know, he didn't complain about his plight. And the more you learn about him, you wonder what makes him tick, because with all things considered, he got a bad deal in the courts. You know, he was charged with a double murder. They chose to try him 15 or 16 years after they tried him on the first case, even though he filed a motion for a fast and speedy trial soon after he got arrested. They chose not to try him. It was 5 years before he escaped with his incarceration. The courts had an opportunity to try him on both murders, but they didn't. So he didn't cry about that. He decided to take care of business himself, which I don't condone that, but he escaped. He was apprehended again. When he came back, he just, you know, he didn't dwell on the past, but we all look for the future in the penitentiary about trying to get out. And how he did his job and carried himself is almost